All right, welcome everyone to our community meetup for March 2022. Okay. All right, so am I sharing the right screen? Do you guys see the presentation? All right, cool. Quick agenda, similar, just like community update stats, product roadmap. Then we're going to do a product highlight from Alex Straczynski from Superconductive doing self-configuring expectations. And then our community spotlight is going to be Maggie Hayes and John Joyce from Data Hub showing off the new integration with Data Hub. And then we'll save some time for questions in between sections at the end. So kicking off, again, we're hiring. I've updated some of the roles that are on here: Director of DevRel, Product Manager, Senior Software Engineering Manager, Software Development Engineer and Test, and there's a whole bunch more in there. Senior Graphic Designer, I know just got posted, and others. So if you know anyone that would be interested in joining us, or if you want to join us, let us know. All right, some quick stats. So since the last time we met, 342 people have joined. So we're at 6,419. Our weekly actives, we're seeing that floor really go up. It's been really cool seeing everyone. I can really tell that it's been a lot more active. There's been some cool conversations around. Even there was a cool conversation comparing all the other data quality tools in Slack, which is really interesting. Moving forward, had a huge spike in PyPy downloads. We just breached 4 million last month, and that's 1 million from the last time that we met. So that's really exciting. That's a huge jump. Moving forward, some thanks and kudos to the community. Some new people showing up in our top Slack supporters, like Jeffrey Quinn and John Schwegler. I think I saw you're in here. Some other folks, Polina. I see everybody in Slack helping out with one another and having really cool conversations. It's awesome to see. Thank you so much. And then shout out to people who've made recent contributions over the last 4 weeks. A. Feld, Binary Tom, Taylor F. Turner, Jay Stammers, Many Shapes, David Van Rouge, ROIJ, Ryan Lindeborg. It's always the toughest part of my presentation, and Jacob P. Gallagher. Thanks so much. Keep an eye out in our GitHub discussions. Is something that we're trying to push more. Our RFCs, our requests for comments, are going to be popping up in there. Also, there's going to be some more information about the hackathon that's posted in there as well. We just did a short post on semantic types, formerly known as typed entities, and what we mean by that. So if you plan on participating in the hackathon, keep an eye on those posts in the discussions. I'll post this link. This is specifically for this one is specifically for semantic types. And then also there's a channel in our Slack that you can join, event expectations hackathon, or event hackathon expectations. I forget which way now, but yeah, it's one of those two. Keep an eye out. All right, well, with that, I'll pass on to Don for our product roadmap.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Kyle. Just if you could keep driving for a few slides.
Sure.
Next. So a product roadmap doesn't change that often. That's part of its purpose, really. And so we're trying to frame it differently from meeting to meeting here. And one of the things that we have internally published as like an aspirational statement for our core promises is this here, that Great Expectations is powerful and expressive. After years of development and widespread adoption by data practitioners, the core APIs are robust, stable, and thoroughly tested. Best of all, it's easy to get started. Now, I don't think we're there yet with all of these dimensions, but in terms of a guide for us, in terms of, to help frame the future work that we do on the platform, this statement is where we want to get to and be able to say this, confidently and honestly about Great Expectations. So how does that inform the roadmap? In this quarter, around easy to get started, profilers and data assistants make it easier than ever to create and discover new expectations. We've also made investments in documentation with glossary and technical terms that was updated just in the last couple of weeks. So if you look under our reference section, we've got technical terms that define a lot of the unique language to Great Expectations in a way that's clearer than ever before. And Rachel is working to ensure that those phrases, when they appear in our docs, also have like quick definitions and stuff to help you get guided. And there's new guidance on developing, clear guidance on developing new expectations that's featured in the hackathon. In this quarter as well, under robust, stable, and thoroughly tested, the new V15 release that'll come out in Q1, and there's more on this a little bit later, will introduce standards for identifying deprecated code and when it'll be removed from future versions so that you can better anticipate or predict how the platform is going to continue to evolve. And we're using data to inform decisions about what environments we want to maintain and support. And specifically with the V15, we'll be looking to drop support for Python 3.6. In the next quarter, under easy to get started, we're looking at new data connectors to make it easier to connect to data with good default values that also allow you to progress smoothly from simple data connection scenarios to more complex ones. One of the more simpler ones is featured here as an example, which for those familiar, this is quite a bit different and aspiring to be that single line of code that can connect you to data. We also have opinionated guidance on how to deploy Great Expectations in different environments, like the GCP featured last month and AWS that's coming up. Powerful and expressive is part of that core promise. And in the next quarter, we're looking at really formalizing the way that we do batch metrics, and such that the metrics are easy to address for doing multi-batch expectations and reporting. We're also looking to introduce cross-table expectations and conditional expectations. And for conditional expectations in particular, I've been working closely with Anthony, one of the developers on our team, to frame up a guide where we're looking to engage community contributions around how we do conditional expectations. Next. In terms of the community, we're looking to launch a community-driven process to help define result format using GitHub discussions. Hannah Stokes, who's on the call and active in our community Slack and our company Slack, will be point on driving that. So if you're interested in contributing to an RFC for result format, it's a feature where we get a lot of feedback, sometimes conflicting feedback. And so I think it's also a great opportunity to engage the community and help defining the product and that part of it, which is important to many folks. And I think a good morsel for us to get started with a more community-driven process of doing the design and implementation of these things. We also have guided experience for developing new expectations, which I mentioned before from the hackathon. In terms of it being robust, stable, and thoroughly tested, we're looking for well-defined test suites for integration partners, including updates to our standard Docker image so that you can pull down an environment that you can use to easily test Great Expectations. Publishing code standards is coming up next. Pervasive type hints is something we continue to add to the code base, along with better dependency management and defined public API. So all of that is kind of the roadmap framed around how we're aiming to fulfill or better fulfill or make claims around our core promises. The next step, big step here, is the V15 release, which should ship in the next 4 to 6 weeks. It'll feature the new rule-based profiler with pre-configured hooks to quickly describe the data. We're tentatively calling this data assistance. And the demo that Alex is doing next will demonstrate some of these capabilities, which I think are, not to spoil it, but it's cool. We're also going to retire support for Python 3.6. So the data we've got shows that very, very few people, less than 0.08% of folks are using Python 3.6 with the latest version of Great Expectations. And maintaining support for Python 3.6 is holding us back in terms of some of the other libraries that we can pull in to be able to do data sampling, bootstrap, estimation, and the like. So we're going to be retiring Python 3.6 support with the V15 release. We're also going to introduce those clear deprecation warnings that I mentioned before, so that you can start reasoning about which parts of the code are going to be around for how long, We'll also have published plans for when those deprecated pieces of code get removed. The idea here is to be able to maintain stuff in a deprecated state for a couple of versions before it gets retired. And as part of V15, we'll be identifying stuff that was deprecated as of V13. So in the subsequent release, V16, we'd be looking to remove that most earliest deprecated code. And this is all part of like an aspiration to get to a much more frequent release cadence. It took us a year to go from V13 to V14 because of the significance of those changes. Future releases will be less significant, particularly in terms of breaking changes, but more frequent. And to that end, I know that the V14 transition did require effort, particularly if you were using the V2 style API, or what we call like the V2 API for referencing data and whatnot. And our mission going forward is to have no more breaking changes that are of the same nature. So apart from the Python version upgrade, V15 will have no breaking changes. And yeah, so stay tuned. We should see that ship in the next 4 to 6 weeks. I guess we'll save questions to the end, Kyle. If there's any questions now, I guess I'll aim to respond on Slack. Is that fair?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, let's do that just to save time. Also, questions at the end after Data Hub fills out all their questions, but of course, overflow in Slack is great.
Okay, great. Thanks.